Hello and welcome to Hexed Encountered. I'm Joe. In this video, we will be doing a playthrough of a scenario from the game The Last 100 Yards, Volume 3, or 4 rather, Volume 4, The Russian Front. And this is Mission 45, Tigers on the Prowl. And it takes place in October of 1943 during the Battle of the Dnieper. Now we have some T-34s, and you can kind of see them lined up over here. I'm zoomed in on the map. I'll zoom out and then zoom in on action as we do it. This is the Soviets over here. These are the Germans here. I've got the map, which you can see is oriented in a portrait format. I've turned it sideways because it's better for video. So it's oriented the other way. So we got for forces, I won't read the whole mission description. If you like, you probably can pause the video and read it yourself, hopefully. The forces, we've got German on the German side from the 2nd Tank Company, 1st Platoon, 2 Panzer 6Es. Those are Tiger tanks, 2 steps. One's here and one's here. And then on the Russian side, you've got the 1st Guards Tank Company of 9 steps. So there are 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 T-34 tanks there. So our initiative DRM is the Germans +3, so that means you get a +3 DRM when you roll for initiative for the Germans. The Germans start with initiative. The Germans are the attackers, have the initiative at start, set up in motion in any hex in map 51, 51 rather, which is this side. 48 is the other map, that's this side. You can see them here, 48 and 51. The German map edge is that way, the Russian map edge is that way. Our casualty differential limit is 0 for the Germans and 3 for the Russians. That basically determines how many casualties they can take without losing the game. Yeah, the Russians are the defenders set up first in motion. So all of the tanks in here are in motion. And basically, to briefly recap this, you have Russian T-34s. They're charging right at the Tigers, who were assuming that the Russians would turn and run. And instead, they're charging at each other. And so we're going to have a nice armored firefight here, which is a 9-on-2, but obviously the Tiger tanks are pretty ferocious. And so as far as mission special rules, the half hexes on either end of the map are not in play. All brush hedges in this one are treated as woods. Play begins with the activation of the German 1st Tank Platoon, and each German tank must conduct a fire action. When activated, if at the end of any game turn the time lapse is greater than 20 minutes, the German player makes a die roll to determine whether the mission will end. If the die roll is less than or equal to 5, the mission ends. This game uses D10 dice, so you have a 50-50 chance, basically. Otherwise, play continues. All units begin play unconcealed. Germans cannot exit the map. Each Russian tank is worth 1 casualty point. Each German tank is worth 4 casualty points. Final score is the total Russian casualty points less the total German casualty points. If it's greater than 1, it's a German win. -1 to 1 is a draw, and less than -1 is a Russian victory. All right, so I'm going to change the shot here, and we'll get this game underway. Okay, so we're ready to go. Now, these are all actually turned sideways right now because I had the map oriented the other way. But in this case, we have one German unit over here. The other one's to the south, and we'll look at that one in a moment. Over here, we have our line of Soviet vehicles. The arrows indicate they're in motion, as was called for in the mission setup. So they are all moving. Obviously, they point in the direction of movement. There is no unit facing with the counters in the game. Unit facing is based on the direction of movement or the direction of fire. So we use that to determine it. Now I will turn the counters because right now they are sideways essentially. So here is, there it is. Here is our Panzer 6E, the Tiger. I don't want to go too in depth. I have other videos that talk about what all the numbers mean on the counters. But the ones we're most interested in are those in yellow. So on the left, that's the offensive side. You can see this one has a firepower of 8 and a range of 30. and the right side is the defensive side. So the 8, the smaller 8 there on above the 12, that is the enfilade fire armor, basically rear armor, side armor, if you want to look at it that way. The 12 is frontal armor, or the normal armor rating. The green numbers are small arms fire, so you have 2 firepower, 12 range there. The 3 in the kind of bluish purple color there is assault value, and the 1 in the circle is the platoon that it's a part of. And this is unit number 2 up here in the corner. So that's how that works. Now, it may be a little hard to see, but there are contour lines. There's one here. Whoops. I didn't put this under plastic. Standard disclaimer, I don't do it usually when I'm doing video because the glare. So we have a contour line here and here. So this is level 2. Now it's facing this way. Actually more like that way, because you have a hex side right here. So for determining line of sight, now we have buildings here. They can see over the buildings. There are blind hexes behind it based on how far away it is. But I've already done the line of sight determination, and they can see over this and through here. And they have to do a fire action. So normally you would start a turn by rolling for initiative. In this case, we're not doing that. Then you would have your activation phase. Now, we were already told that our 2 German units start off activated, and they must take a fire action. So they are both going to fire. So this one will fire first. And as I said, we're going to look over the buildings here and come right down here, and we will attack. Well, let's attack this one right here. So if we take our T-34 here and take a look at it. There it is. Okay. So you can see it's got an armor of 7 and 10. Now, based on the angle, it's going to be hitting the front armor based on the angle. There are 2 units in here. I'll turn them both. 2 units in here. They're both heading in this direction. The stacking limit for vehicles is 2. We were told specifically what hexes to set them up in, F3 through F9, or 7 rather. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And we have 2, 2, 2, 2, and 1, basically. And so we're going to fire here. So this is fairly straightforward fire. First, you need to know the range. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so the range is 11. This is an open. Actually, no, that's not. Maybe we won't fire at that one because there are buildings there. We'll fire at this one. So I don't think that changes the range. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's still 11. All right, so we come in here and we have our anti-tank DRM table. So the firing range of our Tiger is 30, and unfortunately it's more than 10. It's 11. So it's a -1 for that. And then there's a -1 because it's currently moving. So you can see motion fire. What we're going to do is called a halt and fire. So we're going to actually stop movement. So we would flip this over to this side to indicate that it is halting, because we're at the crest of the hill. So we're going to halt and fire. So we have a -2. We don't have any of these other DRMs. They're not hull down. They're not concealed. They are in motion. So it's actually a -3. So the attack factor, fire factor, is an 8. We take 3 from that. And our final factor is a 5. So we put this 5 on top of this unit. And it's the top unit that we're shooting at. Okay, it doesn't really matter. There are 2 in there. They're identical. So we're just going to shoot at that one. Slide that over a little so you can see it a little better. I wanted to get as tight as possible. That's why they're really at the edges of the shot here. But just so that we can do this relatively quickly. Now I'm going to adjust, and we'll talk about the other German unit. And then we'll do what's called calling for reaction, where we will turn it over initiative or activation wise to the Soviets. Okay, here's our other unit. It is also, let me turn it It is also sitting on top of a hill. So it also has an elevation of 2. So it can see over all of this stuff because there's really not much here. These brush here are, I guess, technically woods. But the line of sight, I checked it. It goes and it enters through this hex side. And what that means is it's enfilade fire because this unit, it's forward, it's moving this way. So its forward arc is along this area right here, like that, and then out the other side. So this is the line. If it's behind this line, it's enfilade fire. So that is enfilade fire. So that is going to actually mean that we're shooting at the 6 on this one. So we will be shooting at so we will only need a 6. Now he's still an 8. Our range is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So the range is 10, which means that we're going to get the full, we don't take a DRM for range. It's 10. So that there's nothing there. We do get a -1 here. He's also going to be a halt and fire. So take a -1 there and a -1 there. So he gets a -2, but it's a -2. Whoops. 6 -2. So, I mean, 8 -2. I'm sorry. He gets a 6 with an E on it, like this, which indicates it's enfilade fire. Okay, and then what they would do is say, okay, we're done. We're going to call for reaction. And now the Soviets will be up, basically, so they can do reaction. At this point, we would, if we had multiple platoons, and I didn't mention this when I was doing the Germans either, both sides only have a single platoon. So there's a coordination role where you can activate 2 platoons at the same time. Since we only have 1, we don't have to worry about that, so I didn't talk about doing that. What we'll do here, and here's the thing, okay, from the Soviet perspective, they've got to worry about the fact that their guns are shorter range and not as much firepower. So they are 5.18. You might not be able to see that, but their firepower is 5, their range is 18. So we know that the distance between, well, let's count it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, right? That's the same. It's 11, which means that with an 18, okay, at 11, you would take a -1. So, and there would be an additional -1 and another -1, which would be a -3, meaning that the firepower would be a 2. Their armor is a 12, so they would have to roll a 10 to hit, and they would shock the tank, but not destroy it. So I think what we'll do from the Soviet side is we're going to do a mixture of moving some units and having other units do a halt and fire. So this unit is going to move, and they have 4 movement points because it's reaction. So when units move in reaction, they have 4 movement points. When they move due to activation, which is what the Germans had because they have initiative, they would be able to move 5. Now, we're on a road here. So if we look at our terrain effect chart, for movement points, okay, here's our terrain effect chart. Road is down here, right? And it's a vehicle, which is the 3rd column here. So it costs 1. So you can see if I go up this column, armored fighting vehicle, it's 1. Okay, so we're going to move 4 spaces, and we'll just move both units together. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now we've cut the range to 7, which is still not quite what we want because we have here on our chart again for 18, 1 to 6 is the no DRM. Now we may stop and fire next turn anyway, but like I said, I'm going to do a mixture because we have 5 stacks and 9 total units, so you can mix it up and do various things, obviously, with your units. I'm going to move some to get closer because basically this is going to be a situation where the Soviets want to get into a knife fight. They want to get close Whereas the Germans can do more of a standoff approach because they have the bigger gun with more range. So for now, this guy will stop here. This is a little bit risky because based on the fire and his direction of movement, this is going to be enfilade fire next turn. Unless this guy fires at him, because then it's just a straight shot. But again, their benefit is they have 9 units. The Germans have 2, so they can't attack everybody. The Germans can't attack everybody, right? So you have to use your numbers, which is pretty much Soviet doctrine anyway, right? Throw as much at the enemy as you can and just basically overwhelm them by sheer force of numbers. Now we'll take this one, and it's in buildings. So it has a little bit of protection. So what we'll do here is we'll do I'm going to turn them, and we're going to do a halt and fire with both of these. So you do have some variation in the firepower of the units. You can see like this one is a 418 and that was a 5. So perhaps I should have moved these guys, but we're going to do a halt and fire, and we're going to fire at that one, which is technically through this hex side. So we know the range is 11. So again, there's going to be a -3 is what we're going to end up with. So we're in 18, we're at 11, so it's a -1 for range, -1 for them doing the halt and fire, and a -1 for them also stopping. So that 4 gets modded down to a 1. So we will put a 1 on here. And you know what? They can't actually do anything with that. They can't shock or anything. So let's revoke that idea and let's move instead. So we're going to move, and we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, and stop there. Well, stop our movement there, but still going to be moving in that direction. Same thing here. They have a 4. One has a 5. So that one is a little bit better. So what we'll do is we'll split this, and he'll move 1, 2, 3, 4. And be going in that direction. And this one will do the halt and fire and facing that way. I've changed my mind, and what we're going to do is we're going to have these units here fire at, or rather, excuse me, this unit is going to fire at this unit. It's a straight shot. So he's going to fire at this unit up here. So the distance is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And it is a 5. He's got a -1 and a -1. That is a -2. So that one will be a 3. So we'll put a 3 on here. Now this one here, we have 2 with 5 firepower. And what we'll do is we'll have both of these also halt and fire. Let me turn this so it's actually passing through the vertice there. And those would also be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let me make sure that because it's dot to dot. Yeah, that's good. It doesn't cross this one. That's going to also be a 3. That's a second 3. And this one will have move. So it will just turn here, and it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. And I believe this terrain is open. Yeah, it's a 1. So it's a 1. So we're just going to move that there. And they're in motion going in this direction. Okay. So that would do it. And now we'll do our combat resolution. Anti-tank combat is really pretty simple. So here we have our anti-tank fire resolution table. And you can see the target's destroyed if the final fire attack result is greater than the target's armor value or armor enfilade value. Or, unless destroyed, it's shocked if it's equal to the armor value or armor enfilade value, or the unmodified die roll is 10. So I forgot about that, and I should have said, okay, up here we could have attacked that one, and if we had rolled a 10, we would have at least shocked them. So you can. Okay, and so if it's a 10 and the attack result is within 2 of the armor value, so that would have been the case over there. So I should have done that. And there's no effect if it's against a vehicle and the unmodified die roll is less than or equal to 2. So if you don't shock or destroy, it is going to be a miss. And if it's a 2 or a 1 on your die roll, it's automatically a miss, even if you have a really high attack value, or a DRM rather. So we'll do this one first, I guess. So it's a 5. So basically, he's got an 8 firepower, and we're going to add 5 to whatever we don't need to worry about the 5, but what we do need to worry about is the DRM, which is a 5. So we're going to add 5 to our die roll here. And we got 4 D10s here. So I'll just use the black one for the Germans, and I'm just going to put the tower right here for now for the roll. And it's a 1, and a 1 plus 5 is only a 6, so that is a miss. So I'm going to pull this off. And that's a no harm, no foul situation right there. Now we'll do this one, which is a 6, and it's enfilade. So we're looking at the secondary armor, which is a 6. So this is basically going to this is going to destroy this tank, basically, as I shoot the counters across the table here. So this guy's probably going to be dead here. In fact, I don't think there's any way he's not. That's a 3. 3 plus 6 is 9. His enfilade value is a 6, so he has been destroyed. Now, I'll show you the casualty track here in a moment at the end of the turn. Now we'll do the 2 fire attacks against the German tank. Up here, his armor is a 12. So basically, they'll need a 9 to shock and a 10 to destroy. They get a 1. So that is a miss. Let me roll a red die for the Russians, right? And a 5 is an 8, so that also is ineffective. And that's how you resolve combat. And as you can see, that was pretty easy and straightforward. And so after that, the next phase is the assault resolution phase, which we don't have this turn. Mortar fire, we don't have any mortars in this mission. Now we would determine time lapse. So the active player makes a die roll on the time lapse table to determine the time lapse in minutes and adjust the time on the time lapse track accordingly. So I'm going to bring the track in here so you can see it rather than moving the camera and everything. So I'll just be really careful. So as you can see up here, we have our casualty track, and the Soviets have a 3 for their differential and the Germans have a 0. Now we have a casualty marker here, and that is going to go to the 1 towards the Soviets because the Germans killed one of their units. So if they kill 2 more, they'll hit their, actually, I think they have to pass it. But they're going to, this is going to move back and forth most likely. And we know victory point-wise, the Soviets get 4 if they kill a Tiger, and the Germans get 1 for every T-34 they destroy. So down here we have our time-lapse roll, and we have tracks here. And I didn't put the hour one out because it's unlikely this is going to go an hour or longer. So you have a 10-minute track and a 1-minute track. And you roll a D10, so I'll roll the yellow one. Why not? And we got a 1. And a 1 or a 2 is 2 minutes. So we would just move this to 2. And then we would move on to turn 2 and roll for initiative. And I'm going to actually end the video here so that we keep it short. And come back and do a part 2 where we'll talk about, we'll play out some more. and hopefully, maybe at least a couple more turns. We'll see how far we get in gameplay here. But I'm trying to make a conscious effort to stop making all my videos an hour long. So with that in mind, we're going to stop here. I do appreciate you guys watching as always. Please consider liking, sharing, subscribing. If you like the channel and you're not already a subscriber, please, show your support by subscribing. I definitely appreciate that. But, either way, even if you don't do any of those things, or even if you dislike the video, hopefully you'll at least come back and check out something else in the future. Whatever works best for you. Any comments, questions, etc., I'll do my best to answer. But that will do it for now. So this is the Hexed Encounter channel. My name's Joe, and until next time, happy gaming.